Hello. Hello. Hi, everyone. Okay, so we will wait 1 minute, 2 minutes. Let's everyone join and then we will start. Till then, you can send messages in the chat. In case I disconnect, I will start another live stream. Okay, it's been 6:04. Let's start at 6:05 or 16:05. Has somebody joined? Okay, let's start. Am I audible, right? Okay, let's start. Right. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to Navoki channel. So my name is Shivam and I am working in the IT industry for last 10 years. Basically my main domain is mobile application development. I worked in basic few React Natives, Android development with Kotlin, and mostly nowadays last 7 years I am working mostly in Flutter. And recently I am working towards generative AI, and this is where I am feeling that as a Flutter developer or front end developer, we are missing so many things regarding generative AI. Not about how to use and code it, but how to make applications out of it. So I have seen that there is some gaps between how a front end developer can be a generative AI developer too, how it can be transition, and there are some gaps. Today I am going to talk about one of the points that while using Gemini API, OpenAI, we often have a problem that we have to protect our API keys, and for that we mostly need backend, and so that we need a backend developer, and we are totally dependent on that. So here, this is my presentation about how a Flutter developer or any front-end developer, whether you are React, Kotlin, Swift, you can utilize few features and you can integrate a full-fledged only mobile application as a generative AI platform. So let's start. So where this idea came from, where like how I came with this idea. So I told you already that front-end developers are mostly dependent upon HTTP APIs that are being given by the companies, by the developers, by the team. And until then, there is always feature. We make UI, we make logic, but we need API to integrate it properly. So that is the one point. Among the Flutter developers, serverless is very popular, which is among Firebase and Superbase, and that's why it is largely used for because it has all the features, functions, database, three types of database, whether it is NoSQL, SQL, real-time database, notifications, everything can be controlled from the mobile app. So why not generative AI too? Although the Firebase has released another feature to use generative AI, maybe that's another video for it. I've already published one video where you can use Firebase AI to create generative AI, but this is not about Firebase. This has nothing to do with Firebase. So any front end without Firebase can implement this. Second is getting into generative AI. Yes, I'm getting questions, polls. I've run polls and I'm getting answers that yes, people need to know, mostly for front end developers, what is the roadmap. So probably next week, roadmap is coming, especially how a software developer, whether you're a front end developer, can transition into or at least work towards generative AI, and that is a lot of work. So I have created that plan into beginner, intermediate, and advanced level, and this will be a good start for you to create basic applications. And the last point is indie app developer. Suppose I am also making apps myself. We are totally dependent on our jobs, and we work on projects that are provided us. But as a developer, we can create our own mobile application, publish it, market it, and earn some money. That is one of the huge thing and advantage of being a single Android or iOS app developer, that you are independent and you can sell your own ideas. And nowadays, because AI is the hype, you can create an indie app developer AI app. I've already posted on my social media about 17 AI app ideas. So after this, you can try one of them. You can connect me on social media and you can try one of them. So let's start. So if you have any questions, you can send me in the chat. Okay. After finishing each slide, I will answer some questions. Okay. So what you will learn with this presentation. So this is mostly about how you can use an AI API in Flutter applications. That means how you can be independently make a generative AI applications, a simple application for now, because this is a beginner level, where there is a text generation, image generation, and video generation. So this is very useful. Make serverless HTTP APIs. That means you don't need a big server hosting or cloud server like AWS or Google Cloud. Create a virtual network, install dependencies and those things, create customizing IP configuration networks. We don't have to do anything. For that, we are going to use Cloud Function. So Cloud Function is like a quick setup. Everything they are managing, we need to focus on the logic of the API, nothing else. Everything else is handled by the cloud developers. So same features are available in the Firebase also, Supabase, AWS also in Google Cloud. So Heroku, and there are many cloud developers who are cloud providers that are providing these features. So today we are going to talk mostly about how to make use of Cloud Function, which is available on the Google Cloud. And securing APIs, yes, that is one of the main concerns, that if we are implementing an OpenAI Gemini AI, API keys, if gets exposed, they are costly and you will get a bill. So you have to like attach your credit card, or you have to pre-purchase the credits to use the actual generative AI applications. So for that, how you can this way secure these API keys on the server unconnected to your front end. Hence, it will be always be secure. And the last point is LangChain. That means LangChain is a like hot topic in terms of generative AI. If you don't know, LangChain is a Python like a Python framework, and it is a like number one used tool nowadays to make any generative AI application. Mostly the logical part, whether you are working with Gemini, OpenAI, or you are using your own custom applications, whether you are using AWS or Google Cloud, whether you are using SQL database, Postgres database, or vector database. So they have created wrapper around many features. So you focus on the implementing the features. Even you can create AI agents, agentic AI, and MCP servers. Everything is given in this framework. So LangChain is a basic start, and you need to learn if you are working towards generative AI. And this is the Python. I understand as a Flutter developer or front developer, we often stick to one programming languages like a TypeScript, Dart, Kotlin. But LangChain is in Python, and if you want to expand your horizon and expand your career, better opportunities in your career, you need to start learning other programming language slowly, one by one. Okay. So if you are watching till now, please subscribe to Navoki channel. I've already published few videos regarding generative AI and Flutter applications, and I will post more. There's one more video coming next week about generative AI roadmap for front-end developers or software developers. That means who are existing developers, how they can transition, at least start at the beginning. So this is our high level architecture. This is what we are going to do, and this will show you what exactly will happen while I will code. So the slide will take only like 5-10 minutes more. This is not going to take 30 minutes of slide. Most of the presentation is about coding. Okay, so focus on the presentation, and only like 5-10 minutes of slides are pending. Rest of the part is the coding part. So we will go to the cool stuffs early. So at high level architecture, you can see that on the left side we have front-end developers, whether it's React, Flutter, or Kotlin. That means any developer or front-end developer who can use a REST API. We all know how to use a REST API and show on the front end. They can use this level. REST API, we know how to get a get request, post request, how to send data. This much we already know. We don't have to learn anything new. Now, the next section is Google Cloud. So I am using Google Cloud because mostly I work with Flutter, Firebase. So I am using Google Cloud, but other options are also available. So, but we are focusing on Google Cloud. So Google Cloud has one feature called Cloud Functions. So Cloud Functions says that you don't need to install some dependency. You don't need to set up your server like virtual private network, private server, anything. You just focus on deploying your Git repository or directly write a code, Python code. There are few codes available. You can upload it and it will generate an HTTP API, and that's it. You are ready to go. With that, you can perform some logical operations, authentications, and file upload, many things. Next is LangChain. Although I'm using LangChain here, but it also represents that you can use any dependency. Suppose with your logic, you can connect with database. I can replace LangChain with MySQL connection. If I want to upload a file, I can replace LangChain with cloud storage or Firebase storage connection. But because we are going to use AI, so LangChain is a wrapper. Hi Shripati Yadav. So LangChain is a wrapper around many APIs. So it makes our task easy. So we don't have to learn everything about OpenAI Gemini. LangChain has already created interfaces, classes. So if we call one function, the same function can be used for OpenAI and Gemini both. So we are going to use LangChain, and it's a very basic feature. Although we can use directly OpenAI directly and Gemini SDKs directly, but we don't need to. I am using LangChain. This is one of the high level structure, like how things works in generative AI. For those who are new to generative AI, this is for them, that every time we send some prompt to the Gemini, okay, the Gemini has itself not a model. Along with model, it has multiple tools, whether you're creating PDF files, text file, JSON file, images, video, and lot of functions like how to search, how to do a Google search. Those are functions. And after that, it can connect to any REST API. Suppose you want to connect with your Google search, or you can connect with your own database that is hosted privately somewhere. You can connect to a PDF or a collection of PDFs or custom management system. That means you have your own CRM and connected your own APIs with the Gemini, and then Gemini can fetch the information according to user query and then return the response. So that's how whole idea of generative AI works. This is a very basic level of idea. Okay. Few things about Cloud Functions that I already told. Cloud Functions allow you to trigger your code from Google Cloud, Firebase, and Google Assistant, or call it directly from mobile, web, or backend applications via HTTP. Okay, that means it will give you an HTTP response, or you can call it from anywhere. Best choice for serverless mobile and web backend. That I have already explained, that how a backend dependency is reduced and you can create your own APIs, a front-end developer, and publish your own mobile application or web apps and make some payments and in-app purchase, publish your own idea. That's the main thing. Real-time processing, PubSub, not just HTTP response, but you can create a PubSub notification. That means your function will trigger if some event happened, like Firebase sign up. If somebody sign ups on the Firebase, an event will be triggered within the Google Cloud, and your function will be triggered. You don't have to do anything. You just have to focus on the logical part, nothing else. All the events by the Firebase auth, sign up, login, the events can also be triggered while uploading a file to cloud storage, and when the cloud storage up file upload is complete. So we don't have to keep polling. Understand? So we don't have to keep polling that whether the file is uploaded or not. We have to keep the check the status in the database whether file is processing, it's uploading, is 90%. No. Whenever it gets uploaded, it will trigger a event and our cloud function will trigger. So that is one of the many features of the cloud functions. Integration with third parties. Not we can write just our logic, but we can integrate third parties, whether it is REST API, a database connection. Here I am using LangChain, a third party SDK. So you can use any third party server SDK here. And the next part is language support. Although the cloud function currently supports only APIs in these languages, which is Node.js, Python, Go, PHP, Ruby, Sharp. So today we are going to use Python, Fast API. We are going to use Fast API and implement a feature. If you are interested any other languages beyond that, I want to implement a backend with that. So you can use Google Cloud Run. You can see this is how the console looks like. Okay, this is a Google Cloud. So you can see here, this is a service, and you can see this is a write a function. So this is our HTTP function that we are going to write today, and it will create a single endpoint. That's all. If you want to create a next endpoint, we have to write another functions. But another option is, although you can use everything by a Git repository, you can trigger a Git repository and it will fetch all the code. And other one is deploy container. That means you have to use Docker and create a whole environment. Then it is more customized. You can use Dart, you can use Python, any environment you want. It will create a proper server for you. So maybe Cloud Run we will do, maybe some in other session, that is a big topic. But today we are going to use only one part, that is cloud functions. There are other features also like jobs. Jobs means background service. Some file is processing and we don't know when it will complete. It will take 1 hour, 2 hour. So for background process, we have a create job. And then there is domain mapping. So we can create set our own domain too here. Okay. So also everything is easy. When everything is easy, there is always a trade-off. That means it is not flexible for everything. It is useful for many things, but not flexible for everything. So one of the cloud functions cons or drawbacks is, or trade-off you can say, not for lot processing. It has limited memory. It will execute, although the maximum time limit is 60 minutes, but it is recommended that execution takes place in few minutes and return the response. And it's a stateless event. That means no memory or state will be maintained when you reheat the API again. Okay, so it is stateless. For long process, same. If the process is taking more than, suppose you are uploading 5 GB, 10 GB of files or video files, and it's taking 1 hour, 2 hour to process. For that purpose, cloud function is not feasible. For that I have shown you, use Cloud Run with Docker or jobs with that. Environment limitations. Yes, like file reader. If you want to create files and other system related things, it is not recommended. Use Cloud Run for that. So what is LangChain? So we will create an API with Python. Till now we don't need LangChain. We can create our own API in any language. But in LangChain we are going to use, because language has created an interface and an industry standard nowadays, that if you want to go into generative AI and work some, LangChain is a must in your resume on your skills. So LangChain is an open source composable framework that provide a standard interface for every model tool database. So you can build LLM apps that adapts as fast as ecosystems evolves. That means Suppose OpenAI has their own SDK, you implemented that, everything is working fine, no issue. But again, you want to change now OpenAI to Gemini or some other data model, LLM models. Okay. So for that, you have to change lot of codes because the format, how to send a request, and everything is different. Almost similar, but it is different. So we have to change the code. So for that, LangChain has created an interface. You have to mention the model name and the API keys with basic information, and rest of the functions, code, logical operations will be handled by LangChain. They don't have to change. So for the in the standards, you can use LangChain, but everything that we make in generative AI can be made without LangChain too. But LangChain just gives a is a tool which gives a helping hand. Okay. So LangChain is available in Python and JavaScript. Officially, these two languages are maintained by the LangChain. Composable by designs. That means if we create one module, it is interchangeable and reusable in any other generative application or with another module or another LLM. So like it's very flexible with the nature. You don't have to change everything if you are moving some code from one system to another. Work with different data provider that I've already told you. Whichever model you use, it is already available. Cloud providers, if you are working on Azure, AWS, Heroku, Google Cloud, any, they have created interface for that, so you don't have to. And you are using Firebase, Firestore, MySQL, Postgres, they have created interface so you can easily make features around generative AI applications. RAG is one of the most important thing in the generative AI, and it is widely used by the LangChain. That RAG is something that LLM is mostly dumb. It doesn't know everything. So if you have some private information, you can feed that in the RAG. With the help of RAG, you can feed into LLM, and then LLM can answer your queries. MCP server, I've already created a video on YouTube how to create an MCP server in Dart. You can use any language, but I've also explained how MCP works. So you can subscribe this channel and check the video. And other services like chatbots, conversations, interface, document reading, Q&A, knowledge base from database or PDF or collection of PDFs. So all these features that you see on generative AI or that you read about, many things can be made via LangChain. Now, coding will start now in next 2 minutes. What we are going to build in that? So we are going to make a Flutter AI chat interface, a simple Flutter applications which is directly connected to an HTTP API where our API key is securely on the server, not on the front end, and we can interact with our model. Currently, this demo is for text generation, but if text generation is working, you can work for image generation, video generation, and triggering tools. Things can be done. How to create an endpoint server on the cloud function, how to protect your API, how can you can set an OpenAI and Gemini AI keys and deploy on the Google Cloud. And the next is how to implement a LangChain layer for AI. Okay, let's go. If you have any question till now, you can ask. I can see a few people are watching. Do you have any question till now? Because we are going to start now. Okay. So for this session, I have already created a Flutter application. This is a empty Flutter application. Let me show you. That means it is a basic chat application which is using a REST API. Currently, it has not connected to any LLM. So let me show you the. Just a minute. Let me show you the code. This is a basic Flutter application chat screen, and in this chat screen there is a list view where our conversation with user and LLM will show, and the next there is a text field where the user will enter some text and it will be sent, and this will be sent to an HTTP API. Currently this is a dummy API. I will replace with our own API right now. It will hit an API, it will pass our user text, and it will return a response. Okay, and it will add to the list view. So it will show there. So let me show you the user interface for this. I hope the code is visible to all. If not, you can tell me in the chat. While it's running, we will open a Google Cloud. Okay. So Google Cloud Run enough is a free trial service. Although you have to attach your billing payments, but you will not get charged because up to many seconds, like many hours, if you are practicing or you are creating your own applications, which has few hundred users only or few thousands, your cloud function will not be charged for a month. So in the free trial, you don't have to worry about billing payments. So for the practice, you can use free tier. Okay, our application started. Okay, multiple ADB is are running. Just a minute. Or no need. I will start a web. I can start a web. Let us create platforms. Music. So I've added a web parameter because my emulator is not working because I am using multiple ADB connections. Okay, so let's start this web. Because we are using HTTP response only, so Flutter Web will work. Okay. So our web app is started. You can see at the bottom. Let me collapse that. Yes, you can see there is a message. Hi everyone. There is a text field, and if I enter, hi everyone. So currently there is dummy, so it's returning the same response. It's returning the same data right now because I have not added any API. When we are going to add API, it will return a proper response. Okay, so now we are going to work on how to make our API. So let's go to the cloud function first. Okay, so here there are two options you can see. One is deploy a container that is using Cloud Run or create a cloud functions. So for cloud function, I am using Python. Why Python? Because generative AI is mostly domain with Python language. That's why I'm mostly working with Python only. Although we can create APIs with Dart also, many people preferred with Dart, but I think in the long run, Python and JavaScript will help you along if you are expanding your knowledge beyond mobile development. So I have created go to the services, okay, and click on create service and select write a functions. Now they will provide an inline editor, but you don't need to create a service name. I will write sample HTTP. Okay, choose anything, choose your region. So I am going to use Python. So you can see only these languages are available to support as a backend: .NET, Go, Java, Node.js, PHP, Python, and Ruby. So I am going to use Python now. Allow public access. That means this API will be not authenticated. It will be publicly available to hit. If we want, then we can add our own logic for authentications, or we can also connect this cloud function with Firebase authentications. So it will internally know it will receive a token from the Firebase auth every time we'll hit the API. So currently I am using public access. That means no authentication required. Request based, because it's HTTP based. If it's an instance based, that means you have to use a Docker. So we are not going to do that. And that's it. Click on create. So you can okay, there was written something 18 lakhs requests were free. There was some pricing thing. So it has created a API here. If I leave, you can check sample HTTP functions. Click on it. Go to source code. So this source code is randomly generated. We did not generate it. So first let's see how we can use as an HTTP response. So you can see the HTTP response say, let me zoom it. Let me zoom it for you. I hope you can see now. So there is a function. There is an import function framework, that is the SDK from the cloud function. Function framework HTTP, that means this is a HTTP request. Def hello HTTP. So it will take both get and post, whichever you want. And it says this means you are requesting a post method, and this means you are requesting a get method. So if I pass a parameter with name, it will return a response hello. If no request will be done, then it will return hello word. If I pass a name, it will return hello something. Okay. So currently it is not deployed, it has created but not deployed. So for the first time, I am going to click on save and deploy. Open the Postman. It's building right now. We are going to wait few seconds. You can see building source. After its build is complete, this API will be available to use. Do you have any question till now? You can ask me in the chat. Currently, there is a better option for Cloud Run, but I think for front-end developers who want to make some applications, Cloud Function is a good start, and they can use AI APIs too to create generative AI applications. Okay, so it's building, creating revisions, routing traffic. Okay, so everything is done. Now let's open the Postman. So this is a Postman. I am going to copy this URL. This is our endpoint. Okay. Paste it. This is a get request, and I'm going to click on send request. Okay, send. So you can see it returns hello world. It returns hello world because we did not hit the API and we did not send any parameter. So now we are going to send a parameter. So the parameter name was, if we go to the source, we can see the parameter name was query parameter name. So we are going to type name is equal to hello Flutter. Okay. Now click on hit hello Flutter. So get request is done. Now if I untick this and convert this into post request, go to the body, click raw JSON. That means we are going to pass a payload. So name colon developer. Let's send hello developer. Okay, so that means our HTTP API is working properly. So this is a basic HTTP. There is no AI in it, there is no third party. We can use as it is for our logical operations that we need on the backend. Now we are going to implement a LangChain. Okay, so for that I will go back. I am going to create another endpoint, not this one. So for this, there are two ways you can code this. First was, okay, so actually three ways, not two ways. So first was this, but actually this is for only for small use case, not for every use case. Okay, not it is very difficult to type the code here. The second one is our local development. We can code our on the VS Code everything, our language and APIs, deploy on Git repository and connect with Git, or we can deploy using CLI, Google Cloud CLI from our local system. So that is the second method. The third method is, for this demo I'm using CLI or Open Editor. So Google Cloud, when you open a Google Cloud, they provide a VS Code editor online. So you can use that and make this. So if you click on the CLI command here, authorize everything, and our CLI is ready. So we are not going to use CLI, we are going to open this in a VS Code. Okay. Open editor. Okay, see, so you can see that our terminal is open in a VS Code environment. Okay, so now we are going to create our backend applications, backend logic. So for that, I am going to create a new folder here, uh, LangChain AI API. Okay, open this folder, allow, right click, open terminal, and we are going to, because we are working on the Python, the first task is, so we don't need to install any Python or any SDK, everything is already installed, Python and your favorite frameworks. So we are going to use Python and create a virtual environment. And we click ls. So I think our VNV is created. Let's check. Activate. What is the? It is hiding the .env file. .venv. Lib. Because I mostly work on the Windows environment, so this is a Linux environment. That's why. In Windows, it's a script. Yeah. So we are going to write bin slash activate. Okay, just a minute. Going to create a new file main.py. This will be our HTTP code, and a few days ago dot of other folders was showing. Currently it's not showing. Let's see. no issue. So now we are going to install some SDKs that we need for our project. So for that, type pip install. Is there other way? I don't think so. So we're going to install few libraries, which is pip install LangChain. Okay, I remember. Okay, fine. What mistake I did? First, we are going to install pip install LangChain CLI. So it will install a CLI to operate on the. It will create a sample project that will use a fast API along with launching interface. So we are going to go back. Let's delete it. LangChain. So we installed the LangChain and we are going to use LangChain CLI for this. LangChain new app. And our app name LangChain AI API. Let's skip this. Okay. Okay, so now everything is created. Yeah, I think I mistake it with something else. Let me try it again. LangChain AI API. Create a new file, main.python. Okay. So now we are going to create an environment. Although when we will deploy, the cloud function will automatically create a environment for it. So this .env will not get pushed. And okay. So we create a Python environment. Now we're going to go on the main here and we're going to write a functions. So for this, okay. So you can see. So this is the same function that I showed you previously. Function.http. The function name was hello world. Here I have created call LLM. This is a simple request that return a dictionary. That means a JSON object here. So first task is load.env. So for that we have to create an env file too. Not here. We don't need to create here. We need to push our environment file directly from CLI, or we can directly use this GUI interface here to update the secret keys. So this will load a .env if we are working on the local environment. This will get two parameters, AI and query. So for that, query means whatever the prompt user has sent from the front-end application, that will be represented as query parameter and AI. So that means whether you want to use OpenAI or Gemini. So I have created condition for this. So if you send an OpenAI, it will use GPT model. If you don't anything, it will use Gemini model. Okay. So this is a basic HTTP response. Now with the LangChain. So you can see the LangChain. Here, this is the first function. Init chat model GPT-4o, the model name of the OpenAI, and model provided OpenAI. That means this an interface. there's an interface and it is wrapped around multiple LLM models. So if you want to use any LLM APIs, you can use directly in its chat model and chat with this model. We don't have to create separate implementation for every model. So for this is model GPT-4 and then model provider OpenAI. So this is one of the way. The other way is there is already separate interfaces is also provided just in case. You can use this also or you can use this also. Both ways are possible. There is no one way. Like there are multiple wrappers around available, so you can use any. So for this, I am using Google Generative AI, Chat Generative AI class, model Gemini 2. Flash, and temperature 0.09. Okay. You can set anything. You don't need to add temperature. You can leave it as it is. No need. Okay. Now we have to set a message. That means first is the system message. That what is the role? What the role is going to take the LLM. And the second message is this will be fixed. And the second message is the user query. We are passing the user query. Now the system message and human message, these classes are provided by LangChain, because how to pass this message to the LLM is little bit different, almost similar, but little bit different in GPT model and the generative Gemini model. So what LangChain is doing is taking the both message and it will pass automatically internally. If you click on the code and you can see the internal code here, they are mostly doing the wrapping around things. And then the last response is response equal to LLM invoke. That means it will call the LLM APIs internally. All the REST APIs are internally available in the LangChain, so we don't have to implement anything. We can do all this thing with downloading same Python package for OpenAI and Python package for Gemini also, but we don't need to because LangChain has provided an interface for it. So after we click on the response here, okay, response.content. This is a class from the LangChain. That means it will get an output from the LLM. And in the last line, we have returned the response. Return response is equal to output. And that's all. Our code is basic code is ready. We are getting a user query from the request, initializing our GPT model, passing the messages into the GPT model here and calling it, and then returning a response. Okay. I hope this much you understand. If you have any question, you can ask me. So now our code is ready. Now the next task is to deploy it. Okay. So currently I am going to deploy it and my API keys will get exposed for a few minutes. So please don't copy. Okay. So for this, I am going to use command GC Cloud. Okay. This is a CLI from the Google Cloud. So for this, you need to install GC Cloud CLI to before to use. So because I'm using Google Cloud interface, GC Cloud is already available, is already installed. So first command is GC Cloud, G Cloud, then the function, because we are deploying a function. If we are deploying a Docker, we need to use Docker run, deploy, and our function name. Okay. So for that, we can use just a minute. So we can use an endpoint here. So our endpoint name will be LangChain AI API. This will be an endpoint. What will be the endpoint? This name. Sample like sample HTTP. This will be our name. Okay. We can set our region. So I let it be anything, Asia, South or US Central. It depends upon your. The runtime, I am going to use Python 3.11. The entry point. So entry point will be the function name. Okay. So if you are using other than main file, main function, main.py or other main module, you have to mention that entry point here and the file name too. So because I'm using main, I'm not mentioning any file name. So call nm will be the trigger point here. That means the request will enter through here. Trigger HTTP. That means this is a HTTP request, not a PubSub or notification kind of request. The source. That means I am running terminal in this directory. So that means this will be the current source. Okay. And allow unauthenticated. It is the same that I use user interface to select a public API. Here I am using the same. Allow authenticated, that means this will be publicly available. Then I am going to set environment variable. This is our API, setting our API key. So I am copying our API open API key like this, okay, and passing the value here. Okay, in the same way, we are going to set a environment of Google API key and set an environment here. So when we'll deploy it, we can see it here also. Okay, and now going to click done. And one thing I think missed, one is requirements.txt, because from this requirement the Google function will install the dependencies. So for easy thing, I am going to use this. Most we don't need to understand, but most importance are Google generative AI package, OpenAI package, core package, LangChain, these things. Okay, then click enter and it will start the deploy process. Hi everyone, you can send hi in the chat, whoever is joining. Let me know your name. Preparing functions. So deploying is started. If we go here and scroll down and click refresh, in few minutes you can see the API endpoint here also. So it's building. That means it's using the requirement txt to install all the dependencies and then creating a zip file to upload it here. Okay, almost done. And okay, our function is defined and you can see it has given me the URL. So first we check, go to the cloud run and we will verify, click on refresh and we can see our LangChain API is available here. If we click here, okay, so these are the metrics logs if any request comes. So you can see all the logs here, all the payloads and response you can, and any error you can see in the logs here. If we go to the source code, so we can see our code that we have written. Okay, so here you can see we have a close this. So we have the same code that is available here, the requirement txt and mean p. So it will use the same thing, and this has given our endpoint. So this is the endpoint that we are going to use our mobile applications. Okay, we can use it here also in Postman, but let's implement in the response. So here I am going to add a, because it's a get response, add the API endpoint here. Okay, and then I'm going to pass a payload. So currently in the request I am getting this as a query parameter, that means get API. So I don't need to use post here. I can convert it to get. Okay, and pass this text, our user query. We are going to remove this data and pass our user query text and query. Okay, we have query here. Okay, and because other parameter is AI parameter, so I'm going to pass our parameter OpenAI. Okay, and that's it. And the response, we are going not getting this title, we are getting response as a response and output. So I'm going to use as a key name response. Okay, so now let's run the restart our application. So remember, this is a chat applications. Currently, we are not maintaining any session or history or memory kind of. So every request will be new to LLM. Okay. So if we want to maintain a history, so at that during chat conversation we can remember, there are other strategies, but currently we can use this. Uh, Hi, my name is Shivam. Enter. So it has not returned the response. Let me verify. Okay, DO exception. Something error at the DO. Let me verify in the postman first. Copy this. Okay, so our API is working and we can see in the go to the edit and deployment. Let me see our API keys are available. If we go here, variable and secrets, our API keys are available in the environment. So that is okay. So something and the so in the postman it is working. We can see here that if I there's an endpoint, I send a query and the AI